Now, one of the things that we heard and read about the live earning calls, especially from the question and answer session, is that JP Morgan posed a question about the gross margins. And I must say, the response coming from both Nio, who's the CEO, and the CFO, it was pretty exciting because it outlined the roadmap in terms of what Nio is targeting to achieve in the near future in terms of gross margin. I mean, JP Morgan, I was asking a very interesting question of saying that how do they find the balance between profitability and volume? Nio indicated that for the main brand, they are not chasing volume as much, but they want the gross margin to grow. So meaning that they are not going to chase much volume on the Nio brand or Nio main brand, but they are going to make sure that, of course, gross margins are steady, which is part of the reason why the Nio CEO said gross margins improved to 10.7% in Q3. Now, how Nio then responded to this, it was very interesting because this question was answered by the Nio CFO, who again indicated that the main aim of Nio is, of course, enhancing the premium brand positioning and improve product profitability. They want to get to that. And when you talk about profitability, of course, you need to talk about gross margins. And that's where Nio wants to be, or that's what Nio really is prioritizing with their main brands, right? I mean, he said starting October, we started to dial back on products, promotion, and incentives. This is where the 15,000 RMB of promotion was started being cut off in October, which is why we saw Nio delivering, of course, just over 16,600. But gross margins, they were able to generate 100 million yen more than the kind of gross margin or gross profit they had generated in the month of September. So what the CFO then said is that right now, I mean, in Q3, we all saw that vehicle margin came at 13.1%, which led into Nio having a gross margin of 10.7%. He said now in Q4, they are targeting a vehicle margin of 15%, which this will comfortably put Nio gross margin or overall gross margin to sit maybe over 12%. Now, this is pretty good, interesting, because we know that Nio wants to make sure that they reach profitability, which is why they're trying to make sure that for the main brand, they can get as much revenue as possible. I mean, the Nio CFO went ahead and said that for next year, 2025, they want to keep 15% as a baseline, meaning that if they are saying they did not do that well from Q1 to Q4, it must be a vehicle margin of 15%. Otherwise, their ultimate target is to get to 20%. I do think that with time, we are going to get to see Nio getting to 20% gross margin. 20% gross margins might come even in Q4 of next year. Who knows? But we'll see how that one unfolds. Another thing that the CFO indicated is that in the past month, or the month that they cut these incentives, their operations also bounced back the momentum and their order backlog, right? It bounced back, meaning that they managed to cater or not make those that order the new models to wait that long, which I suppose it's a good thing, right? Because when you order your new car right now, the wait time won't be that long because there's not much of backlog from orders because of the new main brand having massive order numbers, which, like I said, it's pretty exciting, it's pretty great. So all this, I think when I read, it shows us that we need to brace ourselves for what's coming in 2025. I mean, the Nio CEO has said a mouthful of what is to be expected in 2025. And as a new investor, I think all we need to do right now is to wait for 2025, because 2025, it is a year where we are expecting great things to come out of Nio. I mean, from March, our sub-brand, or the very first sub-brand, Onvo, will be able to, or will be delivering 20,000 deliveries on a month-to-month, which that, I think that it's pretty exciting, and it shows us the potential that lies within Nio going to 2025. We have spoken about profitability. We have talking about the total sales that Nio intends on generating next year. And when you sum all this up, Right now we're talking about the gross margins in terms of what are they targeting. When you sum all this up, you and me, I can agree that 2025 is the year that so many of the investors, new investors, we're definitely going to be motivated, entertained, and excited at the same time, because the kind of performance that Nio will be pulling, we would have not seen it since Nio's existence. And that, my friend, is another reason why I continue taking the low trading prices opportunities to load the boat, increase my holdings, because I know one thing, and that is blue sky is coming. So tell me what you think about this, man. I think this is a very good roadmap for Nio. And one thing that you know which will help Nio improve gross margin is of course Nio has started producing their own chips. They've got their own operating system, and there are quite a number of things that Nio is doing in-house. They are building their own motors, which this continues enhancing, improving their gross margins. And knowing that 2025, some of the cars will be using Nio's chip, this is something that is just out of this world. It's something that is very, very interesting and amazing, and it makes me wonder where Nio will be next year around this same time. I mean, yesterday we were talking about the 4D chassis systems, which are specifically made by Nio, and boy, I must say, these are some of the things that make Nio get the gross margins. And knowing that next year we are expecting to sell more cars will lead into more gross margins, because some of the things that Nio is putting onto their cars, they are developing them in-house. I mean, the Nio president indicated something very important, I think 2 months ago, indicating that per Nio car, they are having to spend like $5,000 only on chips. They are spending such an amount, which shows you that it plays a very significant role. Chips play a very significant role onto an EV car, which, knowing that Nio, like I said, has started producing some of the chips in the house, should definitely help them in terms of gross margins and get to the target which they have put out there or have told us. Tell me what you think about this. Do your own due diligence. Long term will win. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click the notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Blue sky is coming. Long term will win. That's all from me. And God bless you all.